Thank you, Gary. Our speaker today will touch on multiple areas of focus of Rotary International, but the significant area will be that of growing local economies. Don Goldberg is the Director of Economic Development at the Port of Bellingham. Mr. Goldberg came to the port in 2018, where he was tasked with developing a sustainable approach towards business recruitment, retention, and expansion, and increasing the economic development efficiency and coordination between multiple agencies. Not just your average job assignment, for sure. Before joining the port, Don was Director of Business Development for the Port of Portland. He also served as a Senior Project Manager for the Trust for Public Land and was Vice President for an international commercial real estate company, logging over 200 million in transactions. Mr. Goldberg graduated from the University of Wisconsin with a BS in business and is a certified executive life coach. Don, welcome again to the Rotary Club of Bellingham, and you have the floor. Please unmute yourself, and Jim, pull up the first slide, please.
Oh, I gotta find it here. Just a minute here. We got a little problem. Just a minute.
Little problems are big, are good. I'm used to big problems.
Don, if you want to start by making any.
There we go. I was just working on the wrong button.
Okay.
Okay, Don.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And if you could, I think move that, does that slide go up a little, or is that the whole thing? I think it might be.
That's the full screen.
Okay. Welcome everybody, and thank you so much for that nice intro. And I'm getting older and my resume is getting longer. I appreciate being here. I know a number of you. Matter of fact, the last time I think I was on a call with Mark, if I recall, Mark was just recovering from emergency appendicitis. So I'm glad to see that he's doing well.
Wow, amazing memory, Don. I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Well, those are things you should remember. So you're doing better, Mark, and thank you for again for inviting me. So next slide, Jim, please.
There we go.
So that's the last slide, Jim. So we're on the back of the presentation. That's the second to last slide. So yeah, there we go. I thought we were on the wrong slide to begin with.
All right.
Now
okay, now the buttons are working right.
Okay, thank you again. So I'm going to go over a little bit relatively quickly. We are a very diverse group, and so today I'm going to go over a bit of who we are, what we do, some of our recent deliverables, and I don't know the practice of the Rotary Club, but I have no problem if you interrupt me during the presentation. If something's on your mind, you have a question, just raise your hand. I have no problem talking to you during the presentation. So who we are. Our group, the Regional Economic Partnership, REP is the same thing that many regions call the Economic Development Corporation, EDC. There's a lot of names for it. We named ourselves Regional Economic Partnership because we emphasize partnering, and we partner with the public, the private sector, higher ed, nonprofits, groups like yourself. We feel that we work in a hub and spoke model, and we feel that together we can get much more done than opposing everybody or taking leadership roles when we can work together. I'm, as discussed previously, I'm the director. I have an interesting role. I'm one of the directors of the Port of Bellingham, And I'm also the director of the Regional Economic Partnership, which I'll go into a little bit more later. John Michener is the longest player of the group. He's been with the Port in his role for, I believe, 8 years, and he worked for the county when they held the ADO prior to that. Gina Stark is another economic development project manager. She's been with me for about 2.5 years. Gina is in charge of the program management of the rural broadband program, which we're working on diligently. She also was the lead on all of the state and federal grants that our group put together for COVID response. And she works on many other projects in between. She's on the equity groups, very busy, very sharp young lady. And then Jennifer Novick rounds out our group. Jennifer has her PhD in research. She is incredibly knowledgeable and smart. She is in charge of building our CEDS report, which is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Next slide, Jim, please. So who we are one of 4 ports that holds the ADO status. And what the ADO stands for is Associated Development Organization, and that is an arm of the State Commerce Department. For instance, Skagit County has an organization called EDAS. EDAS is a nonprofit, and they hold the Commerce ADO designation. We are lucky enough that we hold that designation as well as being a port, and we're a single port for this county. So we're able to fund and work together under one jurisdiction where many counties have multiple players that work together. The bottom of the slide explains that my department is funded by basically 4 entities: the Port of Bellingham, Whatcom County, the State Commerce Department, and then the City of Bellingham helps us out a bit as well. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we work under a partnership strategy, and these are the logos of the majority of our partners, but I'm sure there are more. But you can see, for instance, in the middle, WEDA. WEDA stands for Washington Economic Development Association. They're a very close nonprofit arm to the State Commerce Department. We have Choose Whatcom, which is affiliated with a group called Team Whatcom. We're working very close with the health department. So we're a very busy group that use as many other organizations to work with as possible. Next slide, please. This will also give you a little bit of how deep we are in the community. These are the majority of the boards and committees that myself and the other team members are on. Terry mentioned earlier that we work together. Terry and I are both board members of the Bellingham Whatcom Tourism Bureau. So we work supporting all the entities that have anything to do with economic development. And as you can see here, some of these you may not think would be directly associated with that. Whatcom Housing Alliance. What we found out a long time ago is without available housing, we can't have employees. Without employees, we can't grow. So the depth of what economic development is very deep and much more broad than most people realize. Surrey Board of Trade is highlighted here. John Michener is the first American to be on the Surrey Board of Trade as a full board member. That would be like a Canadian being a board member of our biggest chamber. And you can see the diversity of the committees that we're working on. Next slide, please. So Regional Economic Partnership, we're going to go over a little bit of what we do next. Next slide, please. We would be remiss if we didn't start this out by talking about COVID. A year and a half ago, none of us had ever heard of COVID. Our team was not working on any real pandemic response. And all of a sudden, COVID-19 occurred and caught us very, like the rest of the world, very flat-footed. And if you all recall, what happened was the sheriff department opened up Unified Command Station out by the airport. About a week after that occurred, we realized how serious this event was, and they created a task force. I was asked to be the chief branch manager of economic development for the region, and my task was to get all the other nonprofits, agencies, all to report through me, and then for me to report to the sheriff department at Unified Command. I had that role for about 3 months. I brought my whole team in on that, and the first 2 months, I worked 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. I didn't have a break, and I didn't have any backup, and it was very, very stressful. But a large group of over 100 people got together, and we put Unified Command together and started working through this problem. We still are active with Unified Command. I'm on the cross-border task force, and as we know, we're a border county, and our economy has been drastically hit by that closed border. So I stay in touch with what's going on the border, and we are still trying to promote the opening of that border. We early on realized that the world was pitting the economy against the health of our nation, or the health of our nation against our economy. And so I made an agreement with the director of the health department very early on this pandemic that we would be much better working together and collaborating than working against each other. So Erica and I have 2 to 3 meetings a week. We have done multiple programs together, and we both believe that a safe community will lead to a healthy economy. So you probably see signs all over the county, safer, stronger together. That was a dual marketing campaign between my office and the health department. Team Whatcom is a group that I facilitate with the support of my team. And that's a economic development group that's made up of higher ed, nonprofits, and public agencies. And we work together to support each other on how we can work through COVID, how we can support the economy, how we connect degrees at the universities with employer needs. It's a great organization. It existed prior to me starting my role, and I believe that it's really helped all of us get through this time. Next slide, Jim, please. Some of our responses are deliverables relating to COVID-19. We were involved with the disposition of over $5 million in local grants. We're now on Working Washington Grant number 4. The first one we had to do all on our own. We helped coordinate all 7 cities with the county, and we all came together, and it worked out beautifully. Rather than everybody grabbing their own money or process, we all put our money in together, created processes, and made sure that the funds were distributed fairly and across the county. We also are involved with grants for childcare, for small businesses, and we're supporting the Commerce Department on their recent phase round 4. The EDA is the U.S. Department of Economic Development, and we are processor of a revolving loan fund. Those funds typically are given in small loans of 75 to 125,000. Some of the companies in town have borrowed that money and paid them back, and now are large companies. And we have available funding right now. And then we're just here to support overall growth during this time. You might have participated, some of your businesses, or maybe you bought some cards with the tourism and sustainable connections put together Think Local First, and with a Yifty gift card. We helped raise some of the money for that and supported that and put that together. And the whole purpose of that program was to start thinking about supporting our local businesses before we just jump on the internet and buy something outside the region. We understand that if you buy something on Amazon, maybe you need to, and that tax revenue comes here, but it does not help the small business owners. So we ask that people think local first, and the Yifty program continues to go on, and we're continuing to try to raise money to help support it. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, EDIA revolving loan fund. It's manufactured base, and they're small loans for companies or manufacturers that have had a hard time finding a lender that will lend to them. And it's just a short-term loan that may be for 3 to 5 years, where it just might be what you need for inventory or to keep your business growing, or maybe you're a young company and you don't qualify for another loan. They're very low interest rates, maybe 1 or 2% interest. And if you know of anybody or you need a small loan of that type, please get a hold of John Mitchner and our team. Next slide. So some of the studies that we have done for the entire county, because the port is a countywide port and my department is countywide, so we often work very closely with the county exec and county council on doing work that's county-wide. So we last year finished a very complex study called the I-5 Corridor Utility and Infrastructure Data Collection. We have mapped all of I-5 and the guide to Linden on major industrial and residential land along with the utilities, and have for the first time put them all on GIS. And the reason for this is that our region, as most regions, tend to get into a tunnel vision. And so the cities plan for themselves, the county plans for themselves. They don't work collaboratively often. And so we thought that the county and the cities would do much better, and it would be much more appropriate if everybody could know what's in the ground and where our strengths are and what our weaknesses are, so that we can work together. And if we're going to plan a road, maybe we need to plan together. Knowing what utilities are in the street would help the city that's adjacent to the county. So that study is completed and we're about to go live. It'll allow anybody from the outside to check all the information. And what we're hoping is that all the planning departments, as they put pipes in the ground or widen roads or anything, will update this information, and it will be constantly updated and live. As I mentioned earlier, Gina Stark is in charge of our county-wide rural broadband. We have funded the first $2 million of that project. We expect that to do the whole county, that it will be approximately 15 million. And this is the backbone. We're trying to get high-speed internet throughout the county. And our job is not to be the reseller of it, but to put the backbone in so that the resellers will, where it doesn't make financial sense to put the backbone in, the public does, and then they'll string the last mile or deliver the service to the user. And we all know now with what we're doing that this has become much, much more important for business and most importantly for our children. Children in the outlying areas who are already having a more difficult time being educated and getting to school had a much more difficult time getting computer hookups to study at home, to do Zoom conferencing and things of that nature. And Mark was helping my team get some computers to kids that did not have them throughout the county. So that program continues. That industry is growing incredibly fast. The technology is changing. We are a big geographic area to cover, but we are well into it, and we're hoping by the 1st of 2022, we'll be breaking ground on our first phase, which would be out to Glacier. The last study here, which was a Cherry Point study, we all know that Cherry Point is an enormous asset, one of the largest heavy industrial areas on the west side of the state, maybe one of the largest heavy industrial areas that can be developed on the Western United States along the I-5 corridor. There's been many arguments between what that property and land should be used for. There are some that want to continue the expansion of fossil fuel. There are people that want to leave it as open parks. One of the things I saw when I came to this region right away was that we did not have an international business park, something that wasn't fossil fuel or a park. It's all the other users, the 99% of the companies that contact me, the distribution companies, the large manufacturers, and the majority of the companies that we're working with are Canadian companies wanting to locate here, and yet we don't have a place for them. So we have completed a large Cherry Point study, and we're going to be going to phase 2, which is probably a study for infrastructure, power and water, and how we can get power and water there to service future clean users. And a matter of fact, I have a meeting at the county exec's office on that with SSA after this meeting. Next slide, Jim, please. When I started this job, I knew housing and childcare touched this career, but I had no idea the degree that I would get involved with housing and childcare. I would say that up to 50% of my time may be spent in these two areas. I probably don't need to tell any of you that the housing prices have gotten completely out of control here. And now we don't even have inventory of overpriced housing. The region is suffering very dramatically from no housing, in particular worker housing, where you have $15 to $20 an hour workers for assembly and light manufacturing. That's $35,000 to $40,000 a year. That is not enough money for someone to even have a 1-bedroom apartment in our region. And so we are seeing people who are working full-time with a family living in their cars. So when I say worker housing, even though I do get involved with homelessness and other types of housing, our emphasis is trying to solve the crisis that we have to find housing for those people that need to fill the jobs. We have hundreds of jobs here that we can't fill, and it's because of housing. And the second reason is because of childcare. Childcare is, as we heard earlier, that one of your members needs someone to take care of her 1-year-old. This is a really normal issue that many places have, and we have here in spades. Prior to COVID, we were short almost 5,000 childcare seats. And there are many people now that are deciding to stay home with their children rather than going back to work because it does not make sense. They don't make enough money to cover their childcare, so they end up working for free, and they've decided to stay home with their children. So these two issues are at the very top of importance for our region's economy. Companies cannot come here and find employees, and the companies that are here are having a hard time growing. So we are heavily involved in this topic. Next slide, please. So another thing that I mentioned a little earlier was that we are a border county. So we work very closely with Lower BC as well as the other 3 counties in our region, San Juan Island and Skagit. And we even go further south than that. But we feel that regional jobs are most important. I have people that work for me that live in Skagit County. There are many people that are outside of this county that go to Western. And so we feel that recently one of our companies here could not grow here. We did not have the capacity for them to grow. So they've moved their growth into Skagit County. And I see that as a win because I would much rather them grow in Skagit than leave the region. And then as the last bullet says, and I mentioned, we have enormous demand from Canada right now. Canada's cost of living in Lower BC is substantially higher than ours. They have no industrial land left. And they realize the bigger market for them is across the border. So we have been bringing companies down here, and we are working with probably up to 10 companies right now who want to move here from Canada. Next slide, please. So some of, when I was hired, it was all about bringing companies into the area. But my feelings are my first role is to make sure that the companies that are here are, that we facilitate their ability to stay here, and even more so for them to grow. I do not want to bring companies in here to rob employees from existing companies that already are here and doing well. So our emphasis is on expansion and retention, and when appropriate, we bring companies into the area. A couple of examples, you see on the left of your slide, Family Care Network. For 3 years, I worked with the City of Bellingham and Family Care Network. Family Care has a small office in Birch Bay. Blaine lost all of its doctors, and Family Care, with our assistance, has decided to build a major facility in the city of Blaine. And so that deal has been signed, and the Blaine region will soon have multiple doctors and facilities. We also do things like help companies find buildings, find employees, get training, connect them with grant programs, and work with our other partners, to mention a few. Next slide, please. Recruitment normally is the main job of an economic development director. As I just mentioned on a previous slide, I see that as secondary to the supporting of our existing companies. We are in one of those regions that recruitment is very easy. Fulfilling the recruitment is difficult, but companies want to be here. We're in between 2 cities, and within 100 miles, there's 8 million people. It's a fast growing area. It's a place people want to live. It's on an international border. So it's very easy to recruit companies here. We just have to figure out the other things with housing and such. Give you a couple of examples recently of what we did. Whatcom Metals is a company that John Mitchner, with some of my help, has been working with for 7 or 8 years to get them here. They build parts for bridges, and they're located in Lower BC. But in the United States, if you're going to bid on a federal project, an infrastructure project, it has to be built in the United States. And so Marcon decided to purchase a $6 million facility in the Ferndale area. They're planning on hiring 50 people. These are going to be good jobs. These are not going to be, not that the other jobs are bad, but these are not going to be $15 to $20 jobs. These are going to be $40 an hour jobs. These are going to be $60,000 to $90,000 jobs. So these are the ones we want to promote, and they own that building now. Some of you might have heard of 360 Modular. 360 Modular is in Ferndale. I worked with them for over 2 years. They came to me from a Commerce Department. They build modular housing, apartments, hotels. They're the group that built the 50 units for the homeless for the City of Bellingham. We got them what's called an SRF grant, which is a Strategic Reserve Fund grant. It comes from lottery funds, and it's a separate grant program that the governor controls. And we were able to get 3 of these grants this past year. And 360 Modular was able to receive a $100,000 grant. They're up and operating, great company, and they're very, very community driven. And then Project Greyhound, we'll be able to announce a little bit more of that very shortly, but they're also going to be, they'll be on the I-5 in Ferndale, and they will manufacture small electric buses for the public. So we're really excited about them, and they as well will be receiving some SRF funds. And then Mustad Auto is at the Airport Industrial Park, and they do very high-end modification to expensive cars. They put racing kits on, they do things. And this is an international company that's been around for a long time, very specific, and as well higher paying jobs as well. So, and we're working on many, many more. Next slide, please. So when I mentioned that we're an arm of the Commerce Department, so we have quarterly reporting to do to the Commerce Department. How many leads we've generated, how many people have contacted us, jobs that we have assisted in. And I want to bring up something that, for clarification reason, everybody wants to know how many jobs we have created. And my answer to that is always the same, 0. We don't create jobs, we facilitate the opportunity for companies to create jobs. So when I was able to bring 360 Modular down here, I didn't create those jobs. They will be creating them, and I was able to get them to come here and support them to do that. And I want to, it's important that, that you understand that difference, because we're not out there hiring people. We're out there making it available for people to hire. So we were involved with the recruitment of over 111 companies. We made contact and supported over 102 companies for retention and expansion. We do various types of assistance and capacity building for events and meetings. We do sponsorships. A lot of my budget is passed through. You might have heard of the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. Half of their funding approximately comes through my office. The port pays about 1/4 of that, the City of Bellingham 1/4, and the county half. So there are a number of agencies and nonprofits where funding for them comes through my budget. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a line of showing you our process. You know, we take emails, we take phone calls, we do site visits. This year we have had more Zoom meetings than probably all of you would like. There are days that I might have 8 to 10 video Zoom meetings. And there's been a lot of study on this that people are burning out because there's no time in between. Often they're just one after another. I see this as a great tool, and I'm hoping we'll figure out how to, as we move forward, be a hybrid of still meeting, still having phone calls, as well as using the Zoom and other formats as a tool. But you can see at the bottom there that we had our group of 4 made over 5,000 contacts this past year. Next slide, please. And then this is kind of what's next, and probably a lot more, because I know when I have a big list of things to do every day, I seem to end the day with more than I started. So the SEDS, as I mentioned, is our comprehensive economic development strategy. Some of you have been involved with that. That's a 5-year strategy that we're required to give to the federal government. We're going much deeper. I see this not as something as a requirement that we put on our shelf. This is going to be the architectural structure of what our team and the ADO does to strengthen, grow our economy, and be much more strategic than we've been in the past.
Don, excuse me, we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay, this is my last slide. So, as you can see, I'll let you look at those yourself, but we're very diverse. We're going to be moving forward on the things that we've already done, and we're going to be advancing those this coming year. I'm always available for anybody to answer any questions or to support you.
Thank you, Don.
Sure.
And Gary, I assume we don't have any time left for questions.
We don't now, but if he wants to stay on and there are people that are interested after I do a brief COVID report, we'd certainly be able to use this forum. I don't know if Don can stick around for a couple minutes or not.
I can stay for another 15 minutes.
That's more than enough. Okay.